Masturbation. It's a word we don't hear or talk about a lot in a church setting. A secular setting with friends, sure, but not in a church setting. It's like some of us religious people get really uncomfortable with the word, as if talking about it or admitting to it will paint us with a scarlet M on our chest and make people talk and whisper about us. But lately I've gotten a lot of questions about masturbation when I go to speak because people are doing it and they're feeling a lot of guilt about it and they want to know what the Bible says. And so I want to address that topic with you today. What does masturbate mean? Well, it comes from Latin, and as far as we can tell, it comes from two separate words, one meaning hand and the other meaning to stir up. So it's stirring up passions with your hand. It has many inappropriate synonyms which make me feel queasy even thinking about, so I'll probably just not say those. Basically, it means you're touching your genitals for pleasure. So I just said a bunch of words that you're not used to hearing said out loud in a church setting. So I'm going to give you just a minute to pause and relax and take it in. So what's the deal with masturbation anyway? Can it hurt you at all? Is it good for you? Is it something that we should totally abstain from? What does the Bible have to say? And mostly, a lot of people want to know, is masturbation a sin? I'm Amy with Greater Than Rubies, and in this mini series on masturbation, we're going to address some of those questions. It's kind of an uncomfortable question, but at least I'm not at your house, so that should make it better. Just kidding, I am at your house. Look outside.
Let me in. We need to talk about masturbation.
Okay, so in today's video, I want to address the question of, just from a physical and psychological standpoint, is there any way that masturbation can be harmful? If you've ever read a 17 or Cosmo magazine, you've probably read a few articles about masturbation. And experts say that it is a normal, healthy, and wonderful part of getting to know your body and your sexuality. However, that is not the first look at masturbation that I had. Growing up in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, I heard a quote from some of Ellen White's writings that I remember hearing when I was really young. Here's the quote. In one of her early publications entitled An Appeal to Mothers, Adventist author Ellen White attributes spells of dizziness, depression, irritability, insomnia, fatigue, guilt, absent-mindedness, pain, sullenness, rebellious, and jealousy to the practice of what she refers to as self-abuse. She goes on to say that people who practice this vice are surely self-murderers, as though they had pointed a pistol to their own breast and destroyed their life instantly. That sounds pretty wild, right? So growing up, I didn't know whether I should dismiss this as some kind of old-fashioned prudery or if there was something to it. How could it be that all these sexperts were saying that it was great, that you should explore, and then I had this religious lady telling me that it's basically like killing myself? So what's the deal with masturbation? And is there anything to that self-abuse label? Actually, there may be some things that the experts aren't talking about, and I want to explore those a little bit today. Ellen White may not have been as far off as she appears to be. Studies show that there is a correlation between masturbation and some things that cause pain or unpleasantness in your life. Now, it is only fair to say that this correlation does not mean that masturbation causes these things, but that you find them side by side. So that's something to take account in this information. For example, introversion, some physical pains, attachment issues in relationships, feelings of guilt are found right alongside higher instances of masturbation. For men especially, which doesn't apply to you. By the way, I hope there are not men watching. But for men especially, masturbation can cause physical illnesses because when emitting semen, they're also emitting high quantities of zinc and can become zinc deficient. You only need to Google how important zinc is to realize that it can actually harm guys if they're habitually masturbating. Now, this doesn't even cover the kind of twisted psychological aspect that can grow alongside of masturbation. According to a 2005 study that I will link below, if somebody already has like pedophilic tendencies or interest in other what we would call inappropriate fantasies, every time they masturbate, it just ingrains that further in their mind. And so it makes them less likely to be able to enjoy any kind of what we would call consensual normal behavior in their adulthood. So that's definitely something that can harm people who are already struggling with fantasies that we would call inappropriate or outside of biblical relationships. In conclusion, even though we don't know that there are necessarily causal links between masturbation and some of these diseases or disorders, physical reasons for not masturbating are not the only reasons that we should consider. In the next video, I want to tackle the question of whether or not masturbation is a sin. I'll see you then.